we have all of these different senses. And that's the feminine, right? Like the touch, the smell, the visual, seeing things, tasting things. So one of the things that I really enjoy, is I'm also a perfumer, a natural botanical perfumer. I started getting into this back when after I had graduated from acupuncture school. You'll frequently hear me speaking about this. Is I'm ready for a new lens, meaning, I'm ready to delve passionately, like head fucking first, into another area of study and self-mastery. So, I consider myself a professional student. That was actually a dream that I have always had, was to be a professional student. And I am living that dream now. Everything that I really am passionate about learning, I then teach. And so in doing that, I get to become both teacher and student. And doing that in as a career. I don't see that. I don't see myself. I don't see my growth, like my personal development and my growth and me pursuing my passions and what I want to learn about, as something separate from my business. Anybody. I mean, for me personally, like when I choose mentors, guides, coaches, the people that I resonate with are people that are always growing and always leaning into that edge of what's next for me, what's next for me to learn, what's next for me to master. Not from this place of, I need to do this, I need to learn this, I need to get this certification, I need to take this another masterclass in order to be good enough, but just because it's a desire, because the more you know, the more you realize you don't know. It's personal enrichment. It's not, I need to do this so that I can be seen as an authority, or I can make the money, or it's like, meaning like you're always doing to get to that next place. And so what happens when you take this approach is you're always in this, like, it's like the metaphor of the carrot, right? And it's like you're always chasing this carrot because you have this idea of like, when you get the carrot, or when I finish this class, or when I, have this certification, then I'm good enough, then I'm worthy enough, then I can charge X, Y, and Z, then I can sign the client, then I can, be worthy enough to have, to have the relationship of my dreams. You get to have all of it right now because it's a choice and because you're worthy right now. And at the same time, it doesn't mean that, it's about, and you'll hear me also say this as well, is like the best talent that you can have is the one that you can spend a lifetime mastering because you just love it so much. So I wanted to make that distinction. Where was I going with that? I don't even know where I was going with that, but moving on. Oh yeah, so anyhow, I know. I'm ready for a new lens. And yeah, so after I got my first job out of, acupuncture, I graduated, got my master's, and I'm a doctor of Oriental medicine and an acupuncture physician. And so, but when I was done with school, I was like, well, I'm ready for a new lens, meaning I'm ready to see a new way of looking at the world. Because, once you start learning something, you develop what's called a filter, meaning you see the world through that lens, through that filter, and you will actually begin sorting meaning everything in your external world, the people that you meet, the things that you're doing, the events, everything, you will start seeing and sorting based upon that, what you're valuing. So if I value health and balance and equilibrium and, Chinese medicine, then I'm going to start sorting for seeing the world through that lens. So for example, like in black and white, let me give you an example of what that means. So I would start seeing people as their elements, In Chinese medicine, one of the pillars of Chinese medicine is the 5 elements of nature: wood, water, fire, earth, and metal. And so as I would see somebody, I would look for the characteristics of, ooh, this is a wood type person, or this is a earth type person, or ooh, from what they're saying, it sounds like they have a lot of dampness, or they have liver chi stagnation, all of, so it was seen through this lens of the Chinese medicine. You may have seen these memes for any astrologers who are tuning in, where it's like, you don't send me your nudes, send me your astrology chart. Don't send me a dick pic, send me your astrology chart. And so it's also like seeing people, and when you see people, you see their chart. So that's something that is actually really funny that I do a lot, because I also have a photographic memory. So if I know somebody's chart, so whether I've done a reading with you, you've been inside of one of my programs, courses, or containers where I've seen your chart, or, you've been in my Oracle concierge service, which includes me looking at your chart, I can almost to the T remember your exact chart, depending upon how much, if I just did one session or versus I was with you for a long period of time. So anyhow, I will start to see that when I think of you, I'll see your chart. So let me know in the comments if you're watching this, by the way, on the replay, if that's something that you can resonate with or that you do. So, so I was ready to start, here goes the tangents. I was ready to start seeing the world through a different lens. And so that's when I began, that was 15 years ago, studying astrology, self-taught by myself. And so what I would do is, as part of the intake, when I was seeing patients, I saw over 100 patients every week, or actually not, at an average of like 100 patients, because I was seeing at least 10 patients a day, which is just fucking unheard of. Like straight out of acupuncture school, in order to start seeing that many patients, most people either will, if you have an internship in China, that's a reality. Or if you have an internship, you get access to somebody else who has already built that business, and then, but it's an internship. For me, I got that as a paid job and a position straight out of acupuncture school. So I was very, very fortunate and blessed because, I got to support myself as well, and I was at that level where, I was really good. I was really good. It wasn't like interning, it's like I was ready to be providing that kind of service for people. And then I got even better because I had all of that experience, meaning seeing so many people. So that's something that, I really want to remind you and impress upon you as it comes to moving in new creative directions. Meaning if you're pivoting in your business, if you're starting something new, like a new creative passion or outlet or anything, is, you have to be willing to suck at something new. And a lot of people actually aren't willing to put themselves out there, to move in a new creative direction, to, maybe it's even being in a new business, is because they're not willing to embarrass themselves. right? Hey, what's up, Maria? How are you, beautiful? Are you still in Colombia, gorgeous woman? Happy new moon in Leo. I'm so glad that you're on. I've been riffing for a while, but I'm getting all the chill bumps right now. I'm talking about moving in new creative directions. Like some of the themes that come up, what sort of blocks and or needs to knows or ways that, if you're having, challenges or, or you're desiring to move, in new directions, some of the things that come up. And so I'm just talking about that. So, and I'm also I have a new scent in the works. So I've been on all these kinds of tangents since I've been on, but you know that I always weave them back. And so, but I never got to this is I was talking about having many passions, having a lot of things that you love doing. And so one of the things that quite frequently happens to me when I am creating something new, whether it's, hey, Miruna, how are you? So glad to have you on here, beautiful. How are you? Okay, so coming back to moving in new creative direction. So if I'm doing an art piece, if it's a song, if it's a program, if it's a poem, quite frequently, because I love the senses. I really love being in the body and the experience of smelling things and seeing things and touching things. I want the whole fucking sensory experience, So what frequently will happen for me is a perfume will drop in. So I'll be painting a picture and a perfume, a scent, I'll start smelling things. Literally I'll get the, ooh, I want to smell this, or I'm actually smelling this scent, And so by connecting with the scent, because art and, right-brained people, right? That's working a lot with the subconscious part of the brain, okay? Which includes the area of the brain that rules over archetypes, memory, myths, the subconscious I said as well. And so scents actually tap you into that part of the brain. They tap you, when you smell a scent, they pass the blood-brain barrier, a lot of them, and actually will activate the limbic system of the brain, which is where we store memories, which is where we store information about our myths, archetypes, and the subconscious. So for me, I've always been attuned in that way. And so what has been just recently dropped in is, as I've been incubating this new container, my hybrid mastermind, Harlequin the Huntress, sextress of men, money, and mischief, an art piece has dropped through that I'm so fucking stoked. I cannot wait to share it with you guys. I don't want to share it yet because it's still too soon. But an art piece has dropped in, and I haven't painted something in a while. For those of you guys have seen my last painting I did was the Hanged Woman. So I'm super excited to be back in the painting space. And then also what dropped through is a scent. So this is part of that. And I've just been staying with the base notes of right now of this scent. And that's tonka bean and ambrette, which is, it comes from a type of hibiscus. It's very musky, and vanilla and civet, which is also like musk deer. So coming back to moving in new creative directions, what can happen is that if you're scared of looking bad, right? If you're scared of sucking at something new, that fear will trump the desire of moving in a new creative direction. So you have to get over, you just have to get over that fear of it not working out, of it looking like you don't know what you're doing. And, you know, just remember that the way that children, I mean, when you learn to walk, you know, like you fell down, you know, but you got up and you kept going for it. And eventually you learned. And so coming back to that example where I was talking about, like when I first got out of acupuncture school, I got this incredible opportunity to see 100 patients every week. And so I got a lot of practice. And because I got a lot of practice, that's how I got really good. And so, you know, if you're doing something new, like if you're doing a new business or you're doing a new art project, you have to allow yourself to practice. And so, I mean, even if that means just, you know, if you're in the online space and you want to work online, you know, or maybe you're not good at selling, or you feel you're not good at selling, or, you know, or maybe you want to teach on a certain subject, but you're like, why isn't it working? Why aren't people signing up? You know, why don't I have more people in it? You have to practice and practice and practice and practice and be able to enjoy the experience of the learning without like getting distracted by the destination, right? Like really enjoy the adventure, like the experience of being in something without like, well, why aren't I there yet? Right? And so this is where a lot of people can get tripped up, is like they think that once they get to the destination, that then they're going to feel successful. Then they're going to feel worthy enough. Then they're going to give themselves permission to make the kind of money that they want to make. And you get to give yourself that permission right now. Like you get to have it now. You get to choose that right now in the moment, this is it. Like this is what I was born to do. And that brings presence. You know, when you're focused on, oh, I just need this certification, or I need this new class, or once I make the sale, then I'll make it, then I'll feel successful. You're going about it backwards. Okay, so that's one way that people trip themselves up, and they actually rob themselves of a lot of the joy of moving in a new creative direction, because they're not willing to go through that period of either trial and error or looking like a fool, you know, and or they're too focused on, when am I going to get there? When am I going to get there? When am I going to get there? Okay. So that's number one. So if you're watching this, let me know if you resonate with that. And something else that let me just tune in. I want to see if I want to start talking about this next thing or not. Yeah, I'm going to talk about it. So being your own game changer, meaning I want you to fill in the blank. Okay. Everything changed for me. I changed the game when I want you to think about the last time that you changed your own game. I want you to think about the last time that you were your own game changer. Everything changed for me when I insert X, Y, and Z. Let me know in the comments. The last time that you changed the game, the last time that you did something where you were your own game changer, what was it? Let me know in the comments. I'll wait. And I don't know if I'm seeing some of these comments. Let me, I'm just going to refresh my screen here. Take me to the country, show me who you are. I think you're a big deal, baby, you're a star. All right. So I don't know if I'm seeing these comments or not. It doesn't look like, but I want you to let me know that. Let me know in the comments when you changed the game. The last time that you were your own. What's up? Tommy is in the house. Woo woo, Tommy. How are you? Long time no see, brother. I heard that you are you moving? Are you moving back to the FLA? That would be so dope. That would be so dope. Okay, so the last time that you were your own game changer, I want you to put that in the comments. Like, everything changed for me. Like, when you were radically fucking changing the game, everything changed for me when this happened. Wow. Where are you guys moving to? Aw, I'm so excited for you. That's so fun. Where are you guys moving to? Oh, I'm glad that you're finding it valuable. Are you talking about like the game-changing one or West Coast? Oh, cool. Nice. Very cool. Yeah, West Coast is like such a different vibe. There's a lot of areas in the West Coast that I really like. I like Crystal River. That's actually probably like my favorite, but I also like the peninsula, like Pensacola area. I really like that as well. I don't know if you're going north or south or in the middle, but anyhow, well, that would be so cool. I'd love to see you guys and get together. That would be amazing. Do some beach, have some beach days. I know Abby is a mermaid. She loves the beach. Okay, so I want to come back to moving in new creative directions. So we were talking about, oh, your sister just bought a house on an island in Homosassa. I don't even know where that is. That's so cool. Amazing. Island life. I love it. That's so cool. Aw, well, congratulations. That's so cool. I bet you the kids are going to love that. Oh, that makes me so happy. Congratulations, Tommy. Oh, just south of Crystal River. Yeah, I love that area. It's so cool. Like, so where I'm from, well, a big part of where I grew up was in Ocala. And a lot of my family actually is still there. And so Crystal River is like 40 minutes away from there. So I love it because it's got it's like you wouldn't even realize how close it is. I mean, like how quick you can get to the coast there. And they've, and it's different. It's like, it's a mix of different kinds of water there, which I really like. Like they've got the ocean water, but then they also have the spring water that mixes. So it's really kind of funky and cool. Oh, well, that's cool. I love that. Okay. So coming back to moving in new creative directions. So we're talking about like one of the reasons that, people, when they want to move in a new creative direction, so maybe it's a new business, maybe it's a new, it's a new relationship or a new way of being in relationship or, whatever it may be, just whatever you're wanting to create in your life. One of the things is sucking at something new, right? Is just like getting over that fear of, you're going to make a mistake. It's not going to be perfect. You're going to fall down, or maybe you're going to embarrass yourself. Like all of these things actually keep people in the status quo. It keeps them static and it keeps them from really following their heart and following their passion and expanding in their life is because of not willing to take that risk, right? So that's number one. The second one that comes up a lot for people is feeling that they're not going to have enough resource. Okay. And this can play out in a lot of different ways. And I'm going to give you an example. So one of my specialties, one of my backgrounds, when I was strictly doing Chinese medicine and acupuncture, right, was I specialized in fertility. And so a lot of reasons why people were having challenges getting pregnant was because of this feeling of they weren't going to have a lot of money, meaning they wanted to make sure that they had enough money first before they had the baby, right? And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but there were times, and I kid you not, where I didn't even treat people with the needles. I didn't even do sessions with them. And I would have a conversation with the husband and address this fact and be like, do you actually want to have a child? And when they would get really, really honest, they would say, I really don't feel like I'm ready yet financially. Like the man did not feel that he was in a position of his own personal power or security or financial providership. So was actually on an energetic level preventing the seeding, the penetration of seeding the woman. Okay, so this doesn't only have to happen from the man. This can happen from either party. But this also shows up in not, and so I'm just talking in a very physiological, like biological way, that in and of itself, if you're not connected to your resource, and what I mean by your resource is your power, the source of your power. Money is not the source of your power. Okay? Money follows your power. When you are connected to your power, money follows you. Money always follows power. So if you're outsourcing, meaning where you're looking to money to feel safe, secure, and stable, like I'm waiting till I have enough money before I can move, before I say yes. And this is something that I talk a lot with people when it comes to money, is a lot of people will actually, they'll shelve their desire, or they'll be like, I want it, but, or they'll only allow themselves to entertain the desire, but they won't like, and what I mean by shelve it is they won't really allow themselves to feel it, like to allow themselves to, I want this, like I really want this, because in the back of their mind, or even consciously, they're like, oh, but I don't have the money for it, right? And so that is when you have those statements running, or you have belief systems that money doesn't support you, that money isn't going to support you in flowing it towards your desires, then that will absolutely block you from the expansion and the growth of your dreams, from moving in a new creative direction. Okay, so you, number one, have to catch yourself when you give over your authority to money in that way. Because when you do that, what you're doing is you're giving over your power to money. You're saying, money dictates what I do with my life. Money dictates where I go with my life. Money dictates what I get to experience in my life. And so when you're doing that, you're not the authority. You're not the author of your own story. You're giving over your power to something outside of you. So you're actually not in your power, right? Meaning you're not connected to God. Okay, when you're connected to God, when you're connected to the love and the light inside of you, that is what creates the magic and the miracles of new life. You know, creating a baby, right, is you're bringing something from heaven to earth. You're bringing something closer. So your desires come from God. All of your desires come from God. Okay? And I actually spoke about something where there was somebody in a group who had asked the question about, how do I know the difference between my desires, that are like a lowercase d and what I call them lowercase d's, right? It's like sometimes we can have these desires to emotionally stabilize. So I'm going to give you an example, meaning like if you're feeling emotionally, unstable, you might have a desire to go and eat some ice cream, right? Because it's going to temporarily make you feel better. Or you might like be unstable in your relationship or not feel confident in your relationship. So you might go outside of the relationship, right? And seek a sexual relationship outside of the relationship or an emotional connection outside of the relationship in order to emotionally feel better, right? You're doing that to emotionally stabilize, okay? It could be shopping, right? It's like that's why retail therapy is a thing. Shopping therapy is a thing. By having things sometimes that makes you feel better about yourself, right? So that's not what I'm talking about. And that's what I call a lowercase d. It's not a desire that's really coming from God, that's coming from your heart and your soul. It's coming from you wanting to temporarily feel better, okay? Versus a desire with a capital D, and what I mean like big D, and all puns intended, right? It's like the God in you, the man in you, the divine in you, the light in you. That desire is something different, right? And so that's what I'm talking about, is it's really important to be able to differentiate between desires with a lowercase d and desires with an uppercase D. And so what I had shared with this woman in the group is a way to distinguish that is to do this. Okay, so let's say you have this desire. So like, let's say I want to sell my next 9K package, right? And so I want this in order to feel what? Because everything that we want because of the way we think it's going to make us feel when we have it. Everything that you want because of the way you think it's going to make you feel when you have it. So like, let me know in the comments if you've ever wanted something and then when you got it, you were just like, it didn't satisfy you. You're like, oh, this isn't how I thought I was going to feel when I had it. Like a lot of people, especially entrepreneurs, people in business. Hey, Hannah, how are you? Hey, Sunny. Where it's like they'll make that amount of money, right? But then it's just like, but I thought I was going to be happier about this, right? Like I thought I was going to feel different, once I made 10K this month, right? Or I thought I was going to, feel different. And so that's what I'm talking about, right? Is when that happens, that's usually because that's a lowercase d. So it's really important that you identify how you want to feel because of this desire. So, and if you can give yourself a feeling. You can always give yourself the feeling. So I want to sell my next 9K package in order to feel, and then insert whatever it is that you want to feel, in order to feel successful, or in order to feel safe, or in order to feel valuable or valued, or in order to feel worthy, in order to feel happy, in order to feel hot, in order to feel excited. Insert whatever the feeling is, and then give yourself the feeling. And then after you give yourself the feeling, do you still want it? Are you turned on even more? So that's a really easy way, and that's actually the way that you start building, you start growing, you start manifesting what it is that you want, because it always starts with feelings first. Feelings are emotions. Energy in motion. So when you start with the feeling of something, that starts to move it along and it starts building momentum. So this is actually something that I'm going to be going into a lot more in detail, by the way, inside of the High Priestess constellation. It's my 10-day incubator. So if that's something that you're interested in, let me know in the comments or just send me a private message. So, all right. So, so I wanted to come back to moving in new creative directions, right? So it's really important to know like why you're wanting to move in this new creative direction. Like what is it actually the feeling, that I want with moving in this direction, right? So, so then we were talking about resource, right? Like a lot of people will not move in a new creative direction because they feel like they're not going to have the resource. Okay, but something that I learned a very long time ago, I learned this before then. Like, I think this was something that I always just intuitively was very connected to as a creative person. But the very first time I heard it in words was actually by Cham's mother. And she said something to she said, children come with their own pocketbooks. And so from a very biological, physical level, you have a blueprint. Meaning within your DNA, you have a blueprint. That means it is already written. Everything that you came here to do, be, have, and become has already been encoded within your DNA. It's already there. The resource is already there. But it's when you're not connected to that, when you don't feel connected to your resource, to your source, when you're not connected to that base, then that's when, because it's like you have to stay connected to that root, to your roots, as you continue rising up. So I'll give you another example of this. A seed. When you put a seed, like a seed for a broccoli or a pineapple or whatever, a strawberry, an acorn, okay? That seed has everything that plant needs and requires to become its fullest expression. So everything that a strawberry needs to become a strawberry is already encoded. It's already written in the blueprint of the seed to become a strawberry and to give all of its strawberries and to be the most amazing strawberry it could possibly be. That's all inside of the seed. So when you plant that seed in the ground, in order for that seed to go from potential to actually becoming a strawberry, it first has to put down what's called a down payment. The seed has to put down a down payment. And what that down payment is the cotyledon leaves. So how seeds grow, when you put a seed in the ground, the first thing that a seed does is it sprouts up. It's in the dark. It doesn't know what's going to happen. It's total, imagine like when you're in the dark, like you don't know if it's going to work out. I don't know if I'm going to have enough money. I don't know if he's going to like me back. I don't know if I move in this new direction, what's going to happen. But you know you must do it. There's something inside of you that says, this is for me. I want this. I desire this. I want to go here. I want to try this. It's passion. It's desire. And so the seed does that. The seed goes, I want it. I want it. I want this. And so it pushes up. And when it's reaching up towards the light. It cannot see the light, but it is connected to the light and the spark inside. That is what moves it through the darkness. So whenever you're in the dark in your life, or you're feeling like you're in the unknown, or I don't know what's going to happen next, you have to connect to the light inside of you. The light inside of you is what allows you to thrust forward. And so now I'm going to describe to you is the seed then puts out its 2 cotyledon leads to start photosynthesizing. So it's pushed up out of the earth, and now it puts out those 2 leaves. Those 2 leaves take up over 50% of the energy, the food, the resource inside of that seed. It's a down payment. It's saying, I'm going to put out these leaves I'm investing to put out these 2 leaves, that if I put out these 2 leaves, I'm going to get enough light, and I'm going to be able to photosynthesize and make enough food and enough energy to then keep living. And then it puts down roots. That is how a seed grows. And that is also how any new venture starts, is there must be an investment. You must risk it, as my friend Sean Bartlett, he has said several times, and I love all of his sayings, is you must risk it to get the biscuit. You have to be willing to take a risk. Creative energy is always a risk. If you're not risking, it's not creative. You're not doing something new. If it's not a risk, it's not creative. You're not bringing something new that hasn't already been done. You're not bringing light through if you're not willing to take a risk. And this is the number one reason why there is mass mediocrity in the world. Because it is human nature to want to do what is safe, what is, very little. It's like they want the easy ticket. It's like, I want the easy button. I want to know for sure that it's going to work out. I want to put as minimal amount of time and investment into something, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I'm not trying to say that there's nothing wrong with being efficient with your energy, but this is one reason. I'm giving you reasons how people they actually keep themselves from growing, how they keep themselves from moving in new creative directions. So let's recap. So the first thing is being willing to suck at something new. Being willing to fall down and having to go through that period of practice and trial and error. And just, anytime that you want something, and this is something that I always come back to, is when you ask for something new. So let's say, I'm ready to go to my next level. I'm ready to deepen in this level. I'm ready to whatever. Life is going to give to you exactly what you require to become that. So another way of saying this is, if you want to, have more joy and more love, you want to be a more loving person, right? And then you find yourself surrounded by people who are in bad moods, or who are very conflictive, or who are unhappy. It's easy to be a lover when somebody's loving you back. But that's not going to make you a better lover. That's not going to make you that's not going to strengthen your love. What strengthens the love is maintaining love, maintaining that God's love, that unconditional love, when somebody else is in a bad mood, when somebody else is struggling. And this isn't to say that you tolerate other people's bad behavior. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying at all. You know, do no harm, take no shit, right? Like, that's not what I'm saying at all. But you can keep your heart open and also have standards for yourself. And the practice of widening your heart. And what I mean by that is keeping your heart wide open even when you want to close it. Even when somebody isn't nice to you, and so you want to tighten up your heart and be like, well, fuck you, bitch. You know, like, your heart doesn't get stronger by just being around joyful, happy people all the time. That's very nourishing, right? And you're able to receive love, but the strength of staying open and actually expanding and being able to hold more love and being able to be that conduit of more light doesn't happen then. It happens when we're choosing to stay open. It's just like a muscle. Your heart is a muscle. So you don't get stronger, you know, if you're lifting 20s and you keep lifting 20s all your life. Your heart, you know what I mean? It's like you'll be able to maintain that, sort of, because actually, you know, our body is atrophying. Like, after 30 years, I don't know if you guys know this, but it kind of like blew my mind. Hello, Miriam. What's up, beautiful? I got all the cool people on today. How are you guys? Okay, so like after 30 years, after your body is 30 years old, your muscles start atrophying. So, gosh, and I forgot what the percentage is, but it's like, I'm going to look it up real quick. Just for shits and giggles. Muscle atrophy after 30. Because I like, it's, okay, muscle mass decreases approximately 5 to 8% per decade after the age of 30. Okay, so every 10 years, your muscle on average decreases 5%. So like, let's say you're 30 years old. By the time you get to 40, your muscle mass is going to decrease. It's on average 5%. So by the time you get to 50, your muscle mass is going to decrease 10%. By the time you get to 60, your muscle mass is going to decrease 15%. By the time you get to 70, your muscle mass has decreased 20%. Okay? So if you're just doing exercises just to maintain, you know, like you're doing that exercise, right? And you're lifting 20, that's just to maintain so that you don't lose muscle mass. If you want to grow, if you actually want to improve your strength, you have to lift more. And that's actually how a star is born. We're all stars. Stars are actually created by gravity, by the weight and the burden that we're able to hold. And it actually makes us stronger. So when we experience the hard in life, and I'm not saying like that we should be like taking on burdens unnecessarily and that you should be carrying other people's weight. That's not what I'm talking about. But what I am saying is that when we are experiencing the challenges, the things that stretch us, when we put ourselves in positions and we're with other people, that it's like you want to expand your bandwidth. This is what I'm talking about. You're expanding your capacity to be with more love, more joy, more emotions, more money, whatever it is that you're desiring more. You have to be able to expand your bandwidth to hold it all. That is actually what increases your luminosity as a star. Stars' luminosity, their brightness, is because they've expanded the bandwidth. They're taking on more gravity and more weight, and that is what creates the bigger light. Let me know if you're following what I'm saying. So, and that is what creative energy is. Creative energy is the light. It's light. It's your ability to be a light and to create, to be a creator. So what I've been talking about, just to re-clarify, is like when you're wanting to move in a new creative direction. So whether this is, you've already been on a certain path. So like, let's say, you're an entrepreneur, right? And so you've been like, you've been doing what you do. And now you're like, well, I kind of want to pivot, right? Like I want to start making money this way, or I want to start doing this kind of business, right? That's what I'm talking about. So either you're moving in a new creative direction, and or you're just starting a new creative thing. Like maybe you haven't been doing something and now all of a sudden you're like, I want to create this, So the first thing is having the courage to look like a fool. Having the courage just to go for it, and you might fall down, you might suck at it, but that's okay, right? It's having the willingness and the courage to suck at something new, be willing to take the risk and fall down. It's the number one, I wouldn't say the number one reason, but these are 3 reasons that people stall their process or their momentum and their expansion when it comes to moving in new creative directions. And so I'll give you like another metaphor for this is, imagine the white canvas. Let me know if you're an artist and you have the white canvas and you're looking at the white canvas, and this is something that happens to me, and it's always like, it's a game-changing moment. It's always a game-changing moment, because in that moment you feel, it is the most, I'm getting all the chill bumps right now. It's like where you really feel like, I am the creator. I have a blank canvas. This could be anything. But in order to actually create something, you must choose. In that moment of the blank canvas, you have infinite possibilities. You can create anything. There's infinite possibilities. There's worlds upon worlds that you can create when you have the blank canvas. But in order to actually go from dreaming about being an entrepreneur, dreaming about my next beautiful painting, dreaming about, the next relationship, dreaming about the new home, whatever, you must make a decision. You must be willing to destroy something. You must limit. That's why Pablo Picasso has this great quote: the first act of creation is destruction. You must be willing to decide. To decide means you cut out all other options. So let's say, I'm going to use this as another example. You're living your life. You've got your lifestyle. You've got your kids. You've got your man. You've got responsibilities. You've got all of these other things. You have to be willing to carve out time and space and say, no, I'm going to focus my attention here. It doesn't mean that you can't still be living your life and that your life is flowing with you. Everything is going to rearrange, but you must be willing to limit and make a choice, make a sacrifice, make a decision, destroy something, say no to something in order to say yes to, I'm going to choose the gray paint. I'm not going to choose the white. I'm not going to choose the red. I'm choosing the gray. I'm saying no to this, and I'm doing me. And I'm going to stroke my brush onto the canvas of life. You must be willing to do that. You must, it's a sacrifice. It's a decision to say no to something so that you can say yes to this. And it might be a mistake. You might do that first stroke and it might be like, ooh, that's not exactly what I thought it was going to look like. Or, man, I don't know now. That's not how I thought it was going to turn out in my head. Like, I imagined it was going to be like this, but you will never, ever, ever get to see yourself. You will never get out what is in here and put it out into the world until you are willing to take that risk. It might not be what you like. It might not turn out the way that you thought it will. It might not sell. It might not give you back your investment. But that's not why you do it. You do it because God inside of you fucking told you to do it. It's a feeling of, how can I not? How can I not? How can I not do this? When you connect to that part of you, that is, and it doesn't always have to turn out that way. And quite frequently, sometimes it isn't. Sometimes when you jump into the cold pool, right? It's like, I'm just gonna run and jump into the cold pool. Ah! And then when you jump in, you're just like, I didn't die. Oh my God, this is so exciting. This was so exhilarating. Ah! You know, sometimes you have to do it like that. Because it's fear. You fear what you fucking desire. You fear what you fucking desire because what you desire is to expand into the unknown. And the unknown is laced with fear. You fear something because of the unknown. You don't know how it's going to turn out, so you're not going to feel safe. You don't have control now. You're letting go of control. That's fear. All that fear does, the purpose of fear is to control, constrict, and distort. Okay? But when you step into the role of saying, I am going to limit something, I am going to be the one to decide and choose, fear has no power over you because you are then working with fear. You're taking the reins and saying, I'm going to be the one to choose. I'm going to be the one to choose how this feels. I'm going to be the one to choose how this turns out. I'm going to get to choose my relationship to this thing. Do you see the difference? That's how it's your light. When you step into the light, you then shine the light into the darkness. Okay? So, we're recapping, right? Step 1, step 2, step 3. Well, not step 1, step 2, step 3, but how to move in new creative directions and some of the obstacles, challenges, opportunities, whatever you want to call it, that come up that are stepping stones, right? It's like it's a part of the journey that you number one get to catch yourself when you're doing it, and be like, this is just that. I've done this before. I remember the last time that I said yes to investing in myself for the year with a mentor, right? And it was like, I didn't know if I was going to make my money back. I didn't know if it was going to work out the way that I wanted to. I didn't know that I was going to enjoy being with this person for a whole year of my time. I didn't know any of those things, but I knew it's what I needed to do. It's what I wanted to do. It's what soul was guiding me to do. And who I was choosing to become to back myself up from behind. If I desire to be this kind of person, because I'm choosing to lead myself, this is a person who leads themselves. This is what they do. They trust themselves. They trust themselves to say yes and to put one foot in front of the other, to listen to soul, no matter what. It's not my job to fucking figure it out. That once I try to figure it out, I'm actually now not in my own lane. I'm actually trying to control the situation to prevent pain and to, you know, to not be, to make my brain feel safe, essentially, because I want to be in control. Okay? So, number one, when you do that, you're taking a lot of the fun out of it. And the more fun that you're having, the more light that you have, the more momentum that you have, the more joy that you have, the more life force that you can then open yourself to be running through you. Okay? All right, let me read some of these comments. Hey, Jesse. Yes, white canvas and opening an opportunity. Absolutely. When learning any new thing, we are bound to trip and fall. Stop, reset, restart. Yeah. Unknown is scary, but inevitable. Yeah. And it's all about like your relationship to certainty. We all have to be willing to play with uncertainty. If you're not willing to play with uncertainty or to play with the edge, to play with the unknown, what happens is you limit yourself from all of the possibilities. When you know how it's going to turn out, like 110%, because you know, you're actually limiting yourself of how good it could be. You're limiting the exponential possibility, as opposed to if you're willing to be in the unknown and you're willing to play with uncertainty, now you've opened yourself up to all more options than it could be even better than you even fucking realized. And this is like, while you'll hear me say this over and over again, is, oh my God, I just fell off my unicorn. If you want to have experiences like that, miracles and magic, if you want to vibrate if energetically you want to be a match to miracles and magic, which is, if anybody's had a baby, if you've ever experienced a baby being born, you've seen a baby being born, you've been in a room after a baby has been born, or you're a mother and you've had a baby, it is the most miraculous thing. It's a fucking miracle that there wasn't something there before and now all of a sudden there's something that is here and it wasn't there before. You're pulling light out of the darkness. That is, you are a miracle. We're all miracles. We're all miracles. So it's not like this like far-fetched woo-woo, like magic and miracles are the nature of reality. It's just how attuned you are to it. And it really is a matter of how attuned that you are to it. There's all these things happening all of the time. So, all right. Now, last thing, I had so many, look guys, I had all these notes. You'll be so proud of me, Maria. I've gotten so good at my note taking because I have so many things that I want to talk about. And when sometimes I get on here and I just riff and I just talk, whatever. And other times, like, I'm given these things that I want to talk about and, so I write them down so that I don't forget. But it helps me to feel more organized. Yeah. So last thing. So we're talking about, being willing to mess up, right? Like, being willing to just embrace the unknown, right? Like, you might have to risk, you might not get what you want, you might fall down, you might suck at something new. The second one is feeling that you don't have enough resources. Like, that's the second reason that limits people and or stops them from moving in new creative directions, is because they don't feel that they have the resources. So another way that this is like feeling like, I have to start from scratch all over again. That's another way that it plays out, where it's like, if I do something new, then that means I have to start all over again. this was something that I am going to be totally 100. I mean, I'm as honest and as vulnerable as possible as I am. But I'm going to share something with you, as well, very personal, that, in my relationship to my body, I remember that, one of the reasons why, before I would get pregnant, and if I didn't want to get pregnant, one of the reasons why I was just like, and for me, just so that you guys know, like, all of my babies are spaced 4 years apart. Okay. Well, 3.5 years, 4 years apart. And I attribute that, part of the reason why that is because in my relationship to my body, I would train, and after having a baby, I would get, like what I would consider back in shape, and I would be working out and like loving the way that my body looked and feel and my strength, right? And then in my mind, I would be like, but if I get pregnant again, then that means I'm going to have to start from scratch. It's like I'm getting all of this momentum with my body. Like I'm looking a certain way, right? And if I get pregnant, and I want you to see this as metaphor. Okay? What I'm saying, I'm talking about the creative process as the metaphor of, creating new life as a baby, right? But see it as metaphor. In my mind, I don't want to start something new because I'm going to have to start from scratch again. I'm going to have to start at the beginning. And I maybe don't feel like I'm going to have the energy to do it again, right? I'm not going to have the resource to start all over again. Like, raise your hand. Let me know in the comments if you've ever worked out for, a certain period of time, or maybe you took a class, maybe it was in martial arts, or maybe it was any sort of skill, just anything that you were doing for a while, and then you took a break from it, and then part of the reason why you never did it again, or why you didn't jump back again, is if you didn't stay with it, because then you were just like, oh my God, I'm going to have to start over. Like, I'm going to have to go through that period of the friction of starting from the beginning again. Let me know in the comments if you've ever had that thought, if you've ever experienced that, or if you've like known about it. You're like, I'm going to have to start from the fucking beginning again. And because the hardest things for people to do, I see you, Maria. The hardest things for people to do is to start and to stop. The hardest things for people to do is to start and to stop. Because to start requires that investment. It's like that initial push of like getting out of the comfort zone, right? It's like getting the momentum going. Once you get the momentum going, once you start going to the gym every day, it's just like, well, this is just what I do. Once I start getting and I start doing lives, when I get on and I start doing my lives, this is just what I do. I just get on and I talk on the internet, right? Or if I start going to a certain job, I just go to this job every day. This is just what I do. I get into a habit. It becomes your lifestyle, okay? But it takes 90 days. It takes 30 days to start a new habit, 90 days to actually make it a part of your lifestyle. So if you can do something for 90 days, that's actually because once you start a new habit, other things in your life, right, have to start reorganizing around the new thing. So when you're moving in a new creative direction, I want you in your mind to say to yourself, I'm going to do this for 90 days no matter what. Because if you can do it for 90 days and commit, you will start to build a momentum that now just becomes your lifestyle. This is just who I am. Just like it becomes a part of your identity, right? So let me give you another example of this. I'm an athlete. Athletes just fucking train. I am an athlete. I've been an athlete my entire life. So for my entire life, I am always working out and always training. It doesn't matter if I started out with gymnastics, and then I boxed, and then I did wrestling in high school, then I was a collegiate. judo champion, and then I did Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and then I was doing weightlifting, and then I was doing dancing. And it's just like, I'm always doing something. You know, it's like I never stop. I might be doing different things, but I'm an athlete. And because I'm an athlete, I train. It's the same thing if you're an entrepreneur. You know, if you're an entrepreneur, you just go to work. You're your own boss. I just show up every day, and this isn't a hobby. Like, this is just what I do, you know? Or if you have an identity of, I'm a person that makes a shit ton of money, you just make a shit ton of money because that's who I am. It's who I'm choosing to be. I'm always making money. How can I not make money, right? Or if you are, you know, if you have the identity of, I'm a mother, you know, it's just like you're always going to be taking care of people and nurturing them. It's just who you are. It's just what you do. You don't even think about it. It's instinctual because it's a part of your identity. Okay? So, or an artist with, if you're an artist, it's just like, I'm an artist. So that means I'm always creating. It doesn't matter. Like, there's always going to be something that I'm creating or painting or coming up with or moving. It's just who I am. So whatever it is that you're wanting to move into a new creative identity, in a new creative direction, you have to ask yourself, well, what does this kind of person do? If I desire to be and move in this new creative direction, then it only makes sense and it's only natural and easy for me to, because once you change your identity around something, that takes so much of the energetic bandwidth away from like trying to become something that you're not. When you're trying to become something that you're not, it's like, it's a futile battle. But if you have the identity, I'm going to give you, okay, so I'm going to tell you guys a story. It's one of my favorite stories to tell. And for those of you who have ever seen like Pumping Iron, so Cham, my husband, you know, turned me on to this movie Pumping Iron. And so Arnold Schwarzenegger has always been like, he's been a very big inspiration in my life. And I wanted to, you know, do I want to share all the details around this? No, I don't really want to get into it. I could talk I could talk a lot. So let me just like, let me zone in and get to the story. So, but part of that movie, Pumping Iron, and this, to me, definitely I can attribute this to this story that I'm about to tell you, okay? And so I remember when you know, behind my house, I had a witch's cottage. You know, this is where I was seeing clients. You know, I was working with the Wayne Dyer family. I was working with the CEO of the American Cancer Treatment Centers of America. I was very fucking successful in a lot of different ways. And I'm not just talking about working with big names and big people. It was very fulfilling to me and I was very happy, okay? But I was doing this behind my home. And, but I knew that music was still on the back burner in my life. Okay. I still was not being fully me. I wanted to move into a new creative direction. Okay. And so I began, writing music. I began singing. And after I began writing music and started singing, I also wanted to begin performing again. Okay, because when I sang, when I was younger, a lot younger, I was a professional singer. I did, you know, musical theater and all of these different things. I loved being on stage, even though I had crazy fucking bad, what is it called? Anxiety. Like I actually legit would feel like my heart was going to come out of my chest. I had panic attacks. And anxiety, but I loved it. But I fucking loved it, okay? But being on stage again, right, meant that I would have to face that fear, right? But I remember getting to the place in my life where I was like, I'm ready to be on stage again, right? Like I've been writing this music at this point. Like I was already like writing 2 songs, but I was just like, but I want to perform them now, right? Like, so I'm ready to get on stage again. And I'm talking about like, it may have been 30 minutes. It wasn't more than 2 hours. I'll tell you that. It was so fucking fast. It was on my screen. It popped up and it was just like, we're looking for dancers, performance artists, gymnasts, blah, 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 to do a video, to do a performance video, and we're taking auditions. And I was just like, like, sign me fucking up, right? So, and it was just like, okay, here it is. This is what you said that you wanted. Here it is, right? And so I said yes. And then when I said yes, it was just like all of these different hoops that I literally had to jump through. It was like the audition was like that afternoon. And then it was like for the next several days, I had to show up. And at that point in time, like, what that meant was I had to clear my schedule. I had to find a babysitter. I had to, what else did I have to do? I don't know. It had to do with like shifting my lifestyle, right? And so I use this example a lot. A lot of people that come to me and they're like, oh, I want to work with you. I want to do this program. But they're just like, I don't have the time. Or I don't have the money, or whatever. And I laugh and I say this with just so much like compassion and grace because my mind, I know, my mind tries to do the same things too. But when you find yourself using excuses like I don't have the time or I don't have the money or I need to check my schedule, you don't really fucking want it. When you want it, you will do whatever it takes to make it happen because you've decided. So I had decided, it was like a full fucking Fort Knox, nothing is going to stop me. I'm ready to do this. I want this. And so I had to like, and I remember telling Cham, I was just like, yo, this thing is like tomorrow. This thing is tonight. Like, can you do this? Can you help me with that? Da, 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 da. And here I am like asking my husband who was already fucking busy and, and at this point, like I was already getting I had hired like a nanny housewife, a wifey, another wifey basically, because, I had 3 kids. I still needed help cooking and cleaning and all of these different things to start devoting to my music, to start going through these different things and blah, 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 blah. So you see what I'm saying is it's like when you choose to expand, you don't use excuses of I don't have time, I don't have money, you fucking figure it out. You figure it out. You have to get resourceful. And if you truly want it, I can guarantee that you will find a way. And sometimes, like I remember, like when I first started doing that, I traded with the girl. Like I did half payments, like I paid her half cash and half trade, right? And then when I got to the place where I was more comfortable and I was just, just paying her cash, you know what I'm saying? But I was willing to fucking figure it out, and I wasn't taking no for an answer. So moving on, I get to the thing and, and it's like, okay, this is what you need to do. You need to do this. You need to do this. And so when you get there though, they have you sign this contract that is saying that if you win, because this was a competition as well. And it was saying like, if you win the competition, then you get paid like, and it was just like a several $1,000s. And then you get to be a part of the video. We're going to be making a series of videos, and then you will get to continue making these videos and then making money from the videos, right? And so I signed and I was just like, okay, and so there was, things that I agreed to. And that was it, right? So I did that. And then so, I'm showing up, I'm doing the things, and there's other girls. And so, you're getting to see like what other girls can do and what I can do and blah, blah, blah. But so this is my favorite part. I love this because this is the essence of what I'm talking about. When you decide what it feels like inside. And so they were interviewing all of the girls. And so they get to me and they were just like, so do you think you're going to win? And I said, I've already won. And when I said I've already won, like, first of all, like the people that were filming me, they started like, it was just like they were so in love. They were just like, oh my God, like this girl, like I can't get enough of her. Like they fucking loved me. And everybody else was just like all of, they were like, oh fuck. But what I meant by I already won was just like, I've already won. Like me saying yes to my soul, me proving to myself that I'm worthy of this. I'm a good fucking bet. Like I'm willing to get uncomfortable. I'm willing to have the tough conversations. I'm willing to like just go on a fucking adventure. I've already fucking won. And so like, that's not even the best part. So what ends up happening is they ended up deciding like a few days later, they were just like, so we're not going to continue doing this. So everybody who signed the contract, you get paid and then you don't have to do any of the rest of the work. So I got paid in full, thousands of dollars, and I didn't even have to continue on doing like the rest of the auditions and the rest of the filming. Now, needless to say, like, yeah, it would have been cool to have the experience of continuing continuing making the video, and who knows what would have happened. But because I had already decided, I had already won, I then got what I came for. I got what I came for. I got the experience of saying yes to my soul, and because I had signed the contract. So when you say yes to your soul, I want you to see the metaphor. I was committing to something. It's a signature of my authority. I am signing off on this. Stephanie fucking said, like, when you get married, you don't get married and then you back out like a month later because, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. You fucking said yes. It's a commitment to your soul. I'm willing. I said yes. And I'm willing to do whatever it takes. Whatever fucking shows up, that means who I get to become because I said yes to soul. When you say yes to your soul, that's devotion. It's non-fucking negotiable. It's not, I don't have the time, I don't have the money, I don't like how this is turning out, I thought that this was going to happen faster, this wasn't how I thought it was going to be, blah, 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 blah. Like, it's okay for those thoughts to come up. And it's okay to be in that human place of, man, like, I didn't realize this was going to be this challenging, or I didn't realize it was going to ask blah, blah. You know what I mean? It's like, but it's, you have to keep coming back to your devotion, to your soul. And when you come up with excuses, you haven't decided. You don't really want it. And, this is something that, it's really important that we get honest with ourselves when we say, and so I want to come, and so this is what keeps people, hey Reagan, like in fighting, departing, and landing. Flighting, departing, and landing. What do you mean? I don't know what you mean by that. In flighting, departing, and landing. Yeah, I guess like maybe you mean like when the plane takes off, like you're in the middle of the air and it's just like you can't fucking do anything. You're in the air. It's just like now you're in it. You know what I mean? And it's just like you have to keep doing it until, you run it out, right? Is that what you mean by that? So this is the most difficult part. Yeah, and so like that's part of the hero's journey. There's different parts in the hero's journey that are different levels of challenge, and the more that you understand the hero's journey, right, the more that you're able to orientate yourself to when it's happening. And it is a game changer, by the way. When it's like having a map. Like sometimes you're going to have an experience of going through things in your life and it's like there's not going to be a fucking map. right? But a lot of times, you know, there are cycles, there are patterns in life. And when you become more aware of the cycles and the patterns, you can spot them, and then it's like, I know that this is what's coming, right? And because you know what's coming, you can better prepare. You're not going to know every single fucking last detail, but you're prepared, right? Like, you're prepared, and it's no different from like going off on an adventure, and like before you go on a trip, right? And it's like you check the oil in your car. You know, before you go off on an adventure and you know you're going to be going through the mountains, or you know you're going to be going through the desert, or whatever sort of terrain that you're going through, it's like you know how to prepare the vehicle. It's like I know I'm going to get an oil change. I know I'm going to, you know, have the you know, the spark, you know, what's it called? I forget the name of it right now. A tune-up. You know, I'm going to check the tires. I'm going to make sure that, you know, that the tires are aligned, that there's, you know, that the air, that the pressure is right. It's like, you know, you prepare, and that in and of itself helps you to perform the best that you can in challenging scenarios. You know, it doesn't mean that it's not still going to present with stuff that you didn't expect, that, but you're going to be fucking prepared. You're going to have a sense of confidence within yourself, and also knowing, oh, I've done this before. Like, I remember at this part of the journey, this is always what happens. And so what can tend to happen with people is when they're going on adventures and they're going into the unknown, is amnesia kicks in. And what I mean by amnesia is you get lost in the illusion. You forget who you are, is another way of saying it. When things get challenging, they're challenging only because you've forgotten who you are. I'm going to say that one more time. When things get challenging and you feel like you're suffering and you feel like you can't go on, or you don't know what to do, it's because you've forgotten who you are. And so when you know about this, when you know that there's certain checkpoints along the way, it's like you remember, oh, yeah, this is the part of the story where she forgets who she is. This is the part of the story where she forgets that she's going to have to surrender. She's going to have to sacrifice something, or she's going to meet with the mentor, right? Or she's going to, meet with the guardian at the gate. But when you know these things, because you understand the hero's journey, you understand the mythic traits of an archetype, it makes it more fun, by the way. It makes it, you really do remember that you are living your own fucking fairy tale. And that you're writing your own story. You get to choose your own adventure. Okay, so all right, so that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about today, is about moving in new creative directions. I wanted to jam about this specifically because I am in launch of one of my amazing programs that I love, very near and dear to my heart, Mars Moxie, which is all about Mars. Mars is the masculine. It is about the man, your relationship to men, your relationship to God first, essentially. Men in your life, for women anyway, represent first and foremost your relationship to God, your Father God, okay? And so, we're living in a time where a lot of people's relationship to God is what it is, right? It's like we can get angry at God. We can feel like, things don't ever work out for me. I don't ever get what I want. You forget your power. You forget your relationship to spirit. Maybe men haven't shown up in your life for you the way that you want to. Maybe you had a bad relationship with your father growing up. Maybe you have, difficult relationships to your own power, to your own vitality, to your sexuality, to your creative self-expression, to courage. This is all the realm of Mars. Okay. So, and, Mars is going to be retrograde in the sign of Gemini. Okay. Beginning August 20th, Mars is going to be in the sign of Gemini for months upon months upon months. Okay. This is a death and rebirth for men, as well as the man inside of you, okay? And so this isn't going to be first of all, the nature of Mars is challenge. Men love a challenge, okay? If you love a challenge, if you love, the adventure and you love, risk taking, and you love, danger and thrill, like these are all Martian themes. Okay. It's not feminine. It's not a feminine thing. So, this is a part of what it's going to be. And so, it's important to know that, if you're married as well, that the men in your life are going to be undergoing this as well. So something that I want to share with you that came up for me inside of one of my containers that I am leading right now, Sirens and Shadows, a Mermaid Cleanse, is, that's working with the water element. It's feminine, right? And so something that recently happened to me that I had to navigate through is that I was building a lot of water, because that's the program, right? Like that's the container that I'm in. I'm the one hosting it. I'm the one holding this container. So naturally, my ability to, be with the water, to be with the feminine was growing and growing and growing, okay? But something that happened to me, or happened for me rather, inside of that container was that the masculine template that I was currently holding could not support that amount of water. I'm going to say that again. The masculine template that I was not able to hold the masculine, because my water, I had so much water that it was not in balance with the masculine. Okay? And so when that happens, it feels like there isn't enough light, it's too dark. You get overwhelmed. This is where things can get radically destabilized. It's where cracks start to happen, right? And things start shifting because the container isn't able to hold that amount of water. There was so much water that it was like that container that I had to rupture in order to hold the new amount of water. So if you're wanting to have more pleasure in your life, that's what water is. If you want to have more money, more joy, the masculine is always in service to the feminine. It wants to please the feminine. That's the way that it works in the brain. That's, they do serve each other. They're totally in a dance with each other. Absolutely. But the masculine is what fulfills the feminine desire. So if you have a desire that you feel like you're not able to hold and maintain, or you're feeling like your desires aren't easy to have, or you're in this place where it's just like, it's like you want more money, right? Or you want more pleasure, but it's not happening. It's like, how come it's not working? How come it's not happening? It's because the masculine template that you have running, you're not able to hold it in relationship to the feminine. So that has to be rewritten. So this happened in that container as I was building and building and building and building all of this water. The template, the masculine template that I was holding was not able to maintain that. So I had to rewrite that template. And once I rewrote that template, and part of the reason that that happened as well is because I'm choosing to step up my level in my relationship to the masculine, because I'm hosting this new program, Harlequin the Huntress, this new mastermind. So of course I'm going to be upgrading my masculine codes, my light codes, okay? Masculine is light, by the way. Feminine is not light. Feminine is dark, okay? So, all right. So once I did that, new amounts of money started coming in. I was in a period where I was not receiving the money the way I wanted to, but I had to rewrite the masculine template in order to get right with men, with money, and God. That's what Harlequin the Huntress is. It's the sextress of mischief. Men, money, and mischief, excuse me. Men, money, and mischief. Okay, so if you want to change your or upgrade your relationship to men and money, you want to receive more money, you want to change your relationship to your business. You know, entrepreneurship is a masculine, yes, you can do it in a feminine way, but a lot of business is very much templated in masculine dynamics, right? Ideally, we want both, right? I mean, you get to do business your own way, of course. But so this is something that recently happened to me, and I just want to share with you that, you know, from my own personal experience, this is one of the reasons why, you know, you have to, you know, change your relationship. You know, if you want to change your relationship to men, to how men are in your life, maybe it's your sexual relationship, maybe it's your romantic relationship, you know, and or both, you know, in how you lead yourself, right? And it is time. This is whether you want to or not, it's happening because Mars is going retrograde. So I want to say this, like, whether you want to do it or not, it's happening. You know what I mean? It's like, and you either have, and so when things are happening in our external world and you fail to adapt to the fact that there are cycles, it's kind of like the weather, right? Imagine that it's winter time, right? And it's like, and you still continue wearing a bathing suit, right? But meanwhile, it's winter outside. Eventually you're going to catch a cold because you're failing to adapt to the external environment. It's the same metaphor. Mars is going to be going through a death and rebirth process. So either you adapt and grow, or you don't adapt and grow. And, you know, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to know the changes and the shifts that are happening in our world right now. You know, there's so much, whether you like it or not, you know, we're living in a world where there's a lot of programming. We're constantly being infiltrated and bombarded with fear propaganda, and and it isn't, let me just, being aware of what is happening, understanding the world that you're living in. You came to be in it, which means it's not something bad, okay? It's something that you came to be in this world during this time for a reason. And everything that is happening in the external world is for you. How you choose and who you choose to be with what is happening is how you become who you were meant to become. But you have to adapt. You have to grow. And it's going to happen. Hey, what's up, Dave? Whether you want to or not. And, you know, and so this is going to be happening for 8 months, Okay, my mastermind it's an 8-month rolling mastermind. So you have the option of joining. It's a 3-month minimum. Okay, and then after 3 months, you have the option of joining for 1 month at a time if you so choose, or you can join for the full 8 months. And there definitely is a bonus and a financial incentive, for joining for the full 8 months. But this is Harlequin the Huntress. And so I wanted to talk to you a little bit. We are in Leo season, right? And the difference between Leo, the lion, and the tigress. Let me know, what is the difference between the lion and the tigress? Let me know in the comments. I'll wait. What's up, Dave? How are you? Where you at? Where you be? Are you on the road? I would love to see you. The difference, stripes, yes. The difference between a lion and a tigress is the tigress embraces the darkness. The feminine, the tigress, the tiger has always been an ancient symbol of the feminine, which is what is separating this program from so many other programs out there, is that it is always, always, always about the balance and the marriage, the alchemical hierogamos, the sacred union of the masculine and the feminine. So even though this is a program that's absolutely about men, money, and mischief, it's also about the dark feminine. Okay, so a tigress is actually, that's where she gets her power from, is in the dark. The feminine thrives in the dark. That is the source of her power, of being in the unknown and tapping into the unlimited potential. When you become nothing, the abyss, the darkness of the abyss, that's when you can become anything. When you embrace the darkness of the abyss, the source of all creative and sexual energy is the dark feminine shadow. You become nothing is when you can open yourself to become anything. So I'm super, super excited because the dark feminine is one of my very passionate, it's actually one of my specialties. Retrogrades are my specialty as well. But I've been working with Lilith and the dark feminine shadow for years and years. And so it's one of my favorite energies to play with. And that's what we're going to be. I mean, there's so many amazing things that we're going to be doing inside of Harlequin the Huntress. But it is unleash yourself like a tigress out of the cage, out of her cage. Okay, this is the vibe. If you're ready to unleash, to be fully unleashed in ways that you haven't even dreamed of before, this is Harlequin the Huntress. And Harlequin the Huntress is actually an archetype that came to me. It is a combination of the Harlequin, the sacred clown, the fool energy with the Huntress. So for those of you who aren't familiar with the Huntress energy, the Huntress is basically a siren. She has the sensuality, the sexuality of a siren, but has fully embraced like her masculine energy. Who's focused and driven. It's the feeling of being in the driver's seat, and the devil may care, the mischievous energy. Okay, so Harlequin the Huntress, this is your invitation. If you have questions, I am actually doing something very special right now that for the next 3 days, anybody that signs up for Harlequin the Huntress is also getting, so fucking stoked and excited, is also getting as a bonus Nymphette. So Nymphette is the Mercury retrograde edition that is in Libra, which is coming up in the end of August, September. So for those of you guys who are familiar with the Mercury retrograde edition, there's going to be 2 Mercury retrogrades that are happening during this whole Mars retrograde period. So the Mercury retrogrades are going to be incredibly important during this phase. So there's going to be two of them, one in the sign of Libra and the next one's going to be in the sign of Capricorn. So in relationship to Gemini, Libra is the 5th house of Gemini. So the 5th house is all about creativity, flirting, romance, risk-taking, pleasure, joy. That is Libra in relationship to Gemini. So that's going to be a big theme of that Mercury retrograde, as well in relationship to Harlequin the Huntress. And then Capricorn, where the next Mercury retrograde is going to be happening, is the 8th house, which is sex, money, and power. So if you're wanting to transform, next level, those two areas of your life, I highly recommend joining me in the Mercury editions of Star Disco. If you sign up for Harlequin the Huntress in the next 3 days, so today is, what's today? Today's Saturday. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. By Tuesday, you get full ride scholarship into Nymphet. Beauty, booty, and romance reboot. That's going to be the theme. And so you also, if you just want to enroll into the Mercury edition of Star Disco Nymphet, that is a la carte. You are welcome to do that as well. It's $888 paid in full for Nymphet. There are several payment plans. And I have extended payment plans, by the way. So if you like to save money and plan ahead, you can absolutely take advantage of that and start doing the extended payment plan. And that way, by the time that it comes, you've already, started paying it off. Same goes for the one in Capricorn. So, which is unnamed as of now because I don't have a name for it yet. But anyhow, that's what's hot in, some of the things that are hot in the Star Disco galaxy right now. So Nymphet, as well as Harlequin the Huntress. And like I said, you get the bonus Nymphet as a sign up. So it's valued at $888. You get that just as a bonus in addition to Harlequin the Huntress when you join. And that's a 3-month minimum. So, I also have a free masterclass, which is, I'm so excited. Some major new fucking downloads came in. I'm so excited about, and that is the High Priestess Soul Fractal, or the origins rather, of the High Priestess Soul Fractals, the oracular and sexual healing powers of snakes, sirens, mermaids, and dragons. And by the way, should I share this with you now? The High Priestess has a very special relationship to Mars. It is, I'm not going to say anything more than that. I'm going to be covering that inside of the masterclass. So, as far as when you're wanting to, I want to talk about it, but I'm just going to save it. Okay, so that's a free masterclass. That is happening next Friday, I believe. Next Friday, that's a free masterclass. So if you would like the invite on that, let me know in the comments. And then the following week, we're going to be doing the High Priestess constellation, which if you're all about really stepping up your glamour magic, activating and embodying the High Priestess, okay, the Huntress of Enchantment, you definitely want to get into this incubator. It's a 10-day incubator, the High Priestess constellation, and that begins next week. It's $333, and there is a payment plan as well. So when that's starting in August, I forget the exact date. It's the Monday, but it's 10 days. And I'm really, there's some amazing downloads that are coming through. So if you really want to start working with turning on your sexual and oracular healing powers and embodying and or activating the High Priestess archetype within, you definitely want to get into the incubator. So I think that's it. That's what I've got going on. I do right now have one spot. I am taking on one spot for one-on-one mentorship with me. So that's a 3-month minimum. When you work with me one-on-one, you get access to every single program that is on offer in the Star Disco brand, including the Mastermind, Harlequin the Huntress. So if that's something that you've been thinking about or you have questions about, just reach out to me. I'd be happy to answer that. You would love to assist to your class. Send me a private message, Maria. I would love to hear more about this. This sounds very interesting. Let me know. Send me a DM. Send me a private message. So, what else did I want to say? I am going to be coming back. I'm going to be doing the stars and cards. I'm going to be doing that in the Star Disco group. Oh, I forgot. Last but not least. Yeah. The Essence of Six is also another masterclass that I'm doing where we're going to be looking at the whole second half of the year. The second half of the year of the Tigress, 2022. So you have an opportunity for me to look at your chart and look at like all of the events that are happening astrologically. I'm also going to be giving you astrological magic key dates. So if you like practicing astrological magic and you want the dates on the magical things, so meaning the astrological magic elections and things like that, I'm going to be delivering all of that inside of the Essence of Six Masterclass Redux, as well as the self-confidence formula. So that is also available. It's $222, and there is a payment plan of that as well. So you definitely, like, that's going to be super, super fun. So, but what I'm going to be doing right now, just so you know, is I'm going to take a little break, and then inside I'm going to be coming back and doing the stars and cards for August inside of the Star Disco group. So we're going to be looking at the stars and the tarot cards. So it's 525 at like 5:45. So if you're in that group, you know, definitely you can either come and continue on with me live there, or you know, or you can catch the replay. Okay? Thank you. I love you, Maria. Thanks for being on with me. Thank you, everybody else that tuned in. You know, hashtag replay. Let me know any questions that you guys have. I super, super love getting to know you guys and hearing, you know, what you found valuable, what you want to learn more of. I've been having a lot of people reach out to me, you know, sharing with me about like what they have interest in. And so that really helps me a lot in, you know, in crafting my offers and just getting to know you better, knowing, you know, who I'm serving, what you guys want, because there's more people coming into my world, you know, so I have a good idea of around who I already serve and, you know, and what that channel is, you know, but as I am moving in new creative directions, because the Star Disco brand is totally growing and evolving. And as I'm just tuning into, you know, how the world changes, right? It's so important for us to, yes, we want to stay true to ourselves, right? You want to stay true to your mission, your path, and what brings you joy, right? But at the same time, like, we're always co-creating, right? So, you know, when you're being in service, right, it's also like you also want to understand like what's happening in the world and what other people, because so for example, just because I may not respond the same way to what's happening in the world doesn't mean that other people aren't having those challenges. And something that I have found that, you know, I've had to be aware of within myself is that when you've gone through a lot of things in your life, like, you can forget what it was like when you were having those challenges, you know? So it's kind of like, you know, like, I'm so comfortable in my skin, so comfortable in my body and in my self-expression that, like, sometimes I forget what it's like to have stage fright. Like, I forget what it's like to, when I wasn't so uninhibited, self-expression wise, sexually wise, so, and it's still something that I do, but like it's, I can sometimes feel like like I might be alienating, because on an emotional level, I forgot what it feels like to have those challenges. So I just want to, like, it's like this feeling of like coming back to earth, like remembering where you came from. And so if you're in my community, like reach out to me. Like I love that. Like I love hearing about, like I really do. I love hearing about, what has shifted for you, what you enjoyed, those, and I take all of those things into consideration. So that would actually really help me out. Like I love that. Like recently somebody just like sent me all of these amazing messages yesterday, or not yesterday, it was like 2 days ago. And it was just like so beautiful to connect with her in that way, right? It wasn't about like her buying anything or being in any of my programs. It was just a connection. So I love that. And I want to make sure that, that you know that, that you can do that with me. Okay? All right. I love you.